What if Anakin told Padme about his assignment to spy on Palpatine? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Anakin stalks through the dimly lit halls of 500 Republica, his footsteps quick and uneven, his fists clench at his sides, tension rippling through his body. The Jedi Council's words still echo in his head, their voices cold and distrustful. They want me to betray him. That is the only thought that can run through his mind as he enters the apartment. How could they even ask that? How can they be so blind to the hypocrisy? When he reaches her door, he doesn't bother to announce himself. The moment it slides open, he steps inside, shoulders rigid. Padme approaches him. The sight of her always puts him at ease, now more than ever, as she has one hand on her growing belly. The tension in his body eases slightly, but not enough that she doesn't notice how rigid he appears and frowns.
Anakin, what's wrong?
The Council. They've given me a new mission. They want me to spy on the Chancellor.
Spy?
They don't trust him. They're asking me to watch him, report on his actions, like I'm some kind of informant. They say it is to make sure he will give back power when the war is over. Palpatine has been nothing but a mentor to me, and now the Jedi expect me to turn against him. He has always worked to end this war. Padme watches him carefully, her expression unreadable. After a moment, she steps closer, placing a gentle hand on his arm.
I'm sorry, Anakin. I know how much this must hurt you.
After everything I've done for them, they still don't trust me.
Anakin, you shouldn't take this personally. I mean, it is a natural part of government to have checks and balances. No matter how good you are, people still need to hold you accountable and make sure you do as you say. Even I have to go through similar things. Maybe the Jedi have a reason to be suspicious of the Chancellor.
You think they're right to suspect him?
I don't know. But if they're questioning him, there must be a reason.
He's been leading the Republic through this war. He's the only one who truly understands what needs to be done. And if they truly have something to suspect, why not tell me? Padme's stomach twists. She doesn't want to argue, not when he's already this upset. But something about this doesn't sit right with her. Truthfully, she's had her suspicions about Palpatine for some time now, the way he's been leading the Republic. While he always says he has the Republic's best interests at heart, there are times when it feels like he's consolidating his power rather than serving the people. All of this was done under the claim of ensuring security, but it also means picking away at the people's freedom, centralizing power against him and hurting the people, making them afraid. If the Jedi are wary of Palpatine, maybe she should be too. She says nothing more about this for the rest of the night, but the next day she contacts her allies and asks if they know anything suspicious the Chancellor has been up to lately. While they can't think of anything at the top of their heads, all of them share similar concerns. With the war drawing to a close, they should be focusing on rebuilding and making peace. That includes handing back power to the people. And yet the Chancellor has only provided vague assurances of that without any real action. Together, Padme, Bail Organa, and Mon Mothma, as well as their allies, begin conducting their investigation to learn more about this. They discreetly probe various Republic departments where Palpatine's influence looms large, searching for any signs of unusual activity. They don't see anything too big, not that they expect to, as the Chancellor is quite thorough about covering his tracks. However, they do find crumbs of evidence. Nothing ironclad, but things that together paint a disturbing picture. The first is Bail Organa looking into the diplomatic corps, where he learns from a nervous official that there were multiple peace efforts made by the Republic to the CIS, including terms for a ceasefire. But almost all of them were shot down by the Chancellor before they could reach the Senate, with Palpatine citing issues in these terms. At the same time, members of the CIS Parliament had made peace overtures that they never heard about, all also rejected by the Chancellor's office. Meanwhile, Mon Mothma uses her connections to the military and receives several reports that were sent by the Jedi and heavily edited before reaching the Senate. These outline the suffering of the civilian population and urge the Senate to make several major reforms to reduce the destruction. There are also several reports of worlds in unrest before they had defected to the CIS, with the local forces warning that immediate action was necessary to prevent them from joining the Separatists. Despite how crucial this information was, it never reached the Senate floor, allowing several preventable conflicts to snowball into battles. Lastly, Padme contacts some former officials on Naboo, and the security forces begin investigating Palpatine's former staff and his old office. There they give some of his old communications, and to her surprise, she sees several correspondences with Count Dooku that were left hidden. These were dated before he became the face of the CIS, and even before he left the Jedi Order. They all detail Count Dooku's frustration with the Jedi and the Republic as a whole, and Palpatine comforting him and assuring them that change is coming. In one of these communications, Palpatine even hints that the pair should work together to reshape the galaxy. There are also reports given by Dooku of conflicts across the Outer Rim, and with different corporations, many of which would soon join the CIS. The Count gives them as if they were reporting them to his master. When Palpatine looks for any more information, the rest is conveniently missing. On their own, none of this is truly that bad, as it doesn't prove any treason, but taken together, it leads to a very disturbing trend. At first, they wish to expose all of this information to the Senate, but Padme advises against it. Palpatine has far too much influence in the Senate, and they cannot challenge him directly. Doing this will only expose themselves and destroy whatever advantage they have. Instead, they compile whatever evidence they have in preparation to expose it. However, their actions do not go unnoticed. Palpatine has suspected that they are investigating him. Some of this evidence was long planted, leaving a breadcrumb trail to leave as a trap for future enemies. Now that they have taken the bait, Palpatine now knows who is after him. More importantly, he also knows that they are coming at him together. Now is the time for him to counterattack. In the dim light of the Chancellor's office, Anakin sits before Palpatine, his expression clouded with conflict. His thoughts churn with frustration. The Council's orders, his growing sense of alienation from the Jedi, and now the strange distance between him and Padme.
She's been so preoccupied lately. Distant. I know she's under stress, but she won't tell me everything. She says she's fine, but I can feel something is wrong. Her with child. I'm getting worried.
Young Skywalker, such is the burden of love. You give everything, yet she keeps secrets from you.
It wasn't easy telling her about the conflict I had with the Jedi, but I am worried. She wouldn't keep secrets from me unless it was important. She's just trying to help people. She always has.
Indeed. Padme is a woman of conviction, but conviction can be dangerous. Do you recall what I told you about the Jedi? How they fear what they cannot control, and how, my boy, I fear your wife may be falling into the same misguided thinking.
What do you mean?
She is a politician, Anakin, and politics is a world of treachery. Even the noblest intentions can be twisted. And now, when she should be focused on your child, on the family you are about to create together, she buries herself in whispers and schemes.
Anakin shifts uncomfortably. It's true. Padme has been more distracted than ever. She doesn't eat and sleep as much as she should. Their moments together are fleeting, her mind always elsewhere. And she still hasn't told him what's been bothering her.
She loves me.
I have no doubt. But love is not immune to deception, and I fear she may be deceiving herself. She surrounds herself with Organa, Mothma, and others who grow bolder in their defiance of the Republic's efforts.
She would never betray me.
Of course not, my boy. I only hope she has not already convinced herself that you are the one betraying her.
A knock at the door makes Padme jump. She quickly powers down the datapad and presses it to her chest. Relief washes over her as Anakin steps inside.
Thank the stars. I've been looking for you.
Anakin studies her, his expression unreadable. She doesn't notice the way his shoulders are tense, or how his eyes flicker with something troubled.
I found something. Something huge. Anakin Palpatine has been orchestrating this war from the very beginning. I have proof. He's been collaborating with Dooku.
Padme, please. You've been working non-stop. I'm worried about you. It's time to get some rest.
I'll rest when you've seen the truth. Please trust me. It will only be a short trip. I promise.
All right.
She takes him by the hand and hurries down to their speeder and takes him to the hidden terminal where they have stored all the evidence. As she pulls out the data rod and places it into the computer, she lets Anakin see. The young Jedi steps closer, his eyes flickering to the screen. She hands him the datapad, watching intently as he scans the files. His brow furrows, then his expression shifts, the tension in his shoulders loosening.
This is it?
What?
This doesn't prove anything. These are just standard military directives. Some of them aren't even from Palpatine. Look, they're signed off by the Senate Security Council. And your communications. They're just listed by the Office of Naboo, or the Office of the Chancellor. Nothing here says that Palpatine even knows about it.
She grabs the datapad from his hands, scrolling frantically. The messages, her proof, it's all still there. But the meaning has changed. The most incriminating lines, the direct orders, the evidence, all of it is softened, altered to appear routine. The communications are altered, with specific names being swapped.
No. This isn't what I saw before, I swear. Anakin, these messages... Someone's tampered with them.
Anakin looks at his wife. He sees the exhaustion in her eyes, the deep lines, and the way her face looks more gaunt as things go on. Now more than ever, he's convinced that Padme is overdoing things.
Padme, I know you don't trust Palpatine, but you have to stop this.
You don't believe me.
I want to, but I don't see any proof here. Just edited reports. By who? Do you think Palpatine somehow altered your datapad? That he knew you'd find something and changed it in time?
Yes. He knew I was looking into one. He's covering his tracks.
Or maybe you're looking for something that isn't there. Padme, I kept my half of the bargain. I looked at these reports. Now it's your turn. It's time to get some rest.
Padme feels the ground is slipping out from beneath her. He doesn't see it. He won't see it. She trembles and looks over at him, trying to make him see, but Padme can see his eyes. Anakin's mind is made up, and she has no choice but to listen. Hanging her head, she starts to walk with him back to the apartment, but she knows something is wrong. In her heart of hearts, she knows someone tampered with this evidence, and if Anakin won't believe her, she'll find someone who will. For the next few days, things seem to quiet down. Anakin continues visiting the Chancellor as usual, but with renewed purpose. While it started as a mission to spy on him, Anakin now finds himself more and more enamored with the Chancellor, who not only forgave him for his betrayal, but is now also offering him something else. Power, and a chance to learn how to keep Padme safe. These last few weeks have only heightened his worry about his young wife's safety. Seeing Padme pushing herself so hard and seemingly without any reason has him convinced that she might die if he doesn't act. This all plays right into Palpatine's hands. Even the quiet that came from Padme seems more like the calm before the storm, rather than true peace. Anakin remains on edge, just as Palpatine wants, as he slowly whispers into his ear about the power he has and what he could give Anakin if he accepts it. And just as he had hoped, the young Jedi remains receptive to these ideas. Though Padme remains in her home, she is far from defeated. She realizes that Anakin won't be her key to getting answers. Instead, she must placate him and find someone else who can help her. Someone who will listen and already distrusts the Chancellor. The Jedi Order. She follows Anakin to the temple when he hands over his report to the Council, careful to remain hidden until she is sure Anakin has left. She had told him that she was planning to visit some friends that night, something that pleased him, as she was not thinking of work. Once she sees his speeder take off, Padme slips inside the temple. She pulls her hood over her head so she isn't recognized as she makes her way over to the Jedi Council chambers, where they are discussing what Anakin reported on. But as the Senator steps in, they raise an eyebrow.
Senator, what brings you here at this hour?
Business. None of it was pleasant, unfortunately. I understand you were worried about the Chancellor.
The Council pauses and regards her warily, Mace narrowing his eyes as he considers what she just said. She knows about their concerns, meaning someone likely told her about Anakin's spying mission.
Indeed, concerns we have. What are they to you, Senator?
I have my concerns and evidence. I believe that Chancellor Palpatine is responsible for the war, and I have evidence. Or at least I did.
She hands them the datapad and explains her story of how she and several other senators had investigated Palpatine's actions and that they've realized he is hiding something. They discovered multiple anomalies that go far beyond simple corruption. He may well be collaborating with the CIS in some form. The Jedi Council listens with rapt attention, their concern mingled with suspicion. All of this is a troubling development, and they begin wondering whether Anakin knew about this and was keeping it from them. But they are not entirely convinced either. Having a senator appear out of nowhere is in of itself suspicious, and when she finishes, Mace crosses his arms.
We thank you for this information, Senator, but you can forgive us for being a little skeptical. How is it that you learned about our suspicions? The Jedi Order has made it a point to stay out of politics.
The senator hesitates. She knows that coming here is a risk, and she could reveal everything about Palpatine, but also herself and Anakin. But as she rubs her belly, she knows it is worth the risk. To fight this battle alone risks letting Palpatine destroy her, or worse, having her children grow up in a galaxy with him as ruler.
I know because Anakin told me. He trusts me. I understand if we're to work together, we need to trust as well. So let me be clear. We are married, and this child is his. I fear Palpatine is using that knowledge against him.
The entire council falls silent. Although many of them had long suspected Anakin's relationship with Padme, this confirmation still comes off as a surprise as they realize how deep it goes.
Very well. Aid you, we will.
The Jedi and senators move swiftly. While the Jedi Order scours Republic records and hidden transmissions, the senators apply political pressure, questioning Palpatine in the Senate and demanding explanations for the anomalies in war funding and troop movements. It's a careful, coordinated effort. Too careful. Palpatine notices this, and though he struggles to beat them back, he knows that the Jedi and Senator have now played their hand. He watches the pieces move against him and smiles. In his private chambers, he speaks softly to Anakin.
They are turning her against you. The Jedi, the Senate, they are whispering in her ear, manipulating her actions, poisoning her mind against me.
That's not true. Padme isn't...
She allowed herself to be deceived already, and deceived you. She told you she was visiting friends, but where did she go, Anakin? Where did she go? These attacks on me happened right after that incident. Perhaps she had gone to the Jedi.
Anakin hesitates. Something gnaws at him. The Jedi are asking the same questions regarding the things Padme was investigating.
The Jedi fear me, Anakin. They fear you. And they will use her to control you. You must act, my boy, before they do. You are the chosen one. You alone can restore peace to the Republic. But to do that, you must ensure the Jedi do not interfere.
An hour later, the 501st marches on the Jedi Temple. The night air is thick with smoke and the distant hum of blaster fire as the Jedi retreat from the courtyard. The attack came without warning, as Anakin and his troops rush through. In the meantime, Palpatine orders an information blackout to prevent the people from understanding the true situation and allowing him to control the narrative. Yet, while they battle, the Jedi have organized a defense. While they were taken off guard by the speed of this attack, they aren't surprised by the attack itself. Padme's warning gave them time to prepare, evacuating their youngest members and letting the Masters fight back against the clones. They find that the battle is far more even than they expected. Anakin is the only one who manages to advance deeper into the facility, but even then he finds resistance from the Jedi. Cursing, he pushes deeper and storms one of the halls filled with less experienced knights. They all rush at him, but Anakin weaves his hand and unleashes an explosion of energy that throws them back. He moves over the struggling knights and prepares to finish them off.
Anakin, stop!
Padme stands at the foot of the grand staircase. Jedi survivors gathered behind her. Her face is pale, stricken with horror as she takes in the scene. The fallen Jedi, the smoking ruins of the temple, him standing among the wreckage.
You can't do this.
Stay out of this, Padme.
You know Palpatine is lying. You know he's hiding things. How can you trust him now but not me?
The Jedi are traitors, Padme. They were planning to overthrow him. They were turning you against me.
No. They were trying to expose him, just like I was.
No. No. This is the only way to save the Republic. To save you.
And that means killing the Jedi? Killing children?
He flinches. The image of younglings hiding in the archives flashes in his mind, their wide, terrified eyes staring at him.
This isn't you. Not the man I married. Not the father of our child. If this is how you're going to save me, maybe it's time to reconsider if it's worth it.
His breath catches. The fire in his eyes dims. Behind her, the Jedi watch, waiting. One wrong move, and they will strike. His blade lowers. The battle is not over, but for now the silence stretches between them, thick and heavy. Then, blasters erupt. Anakin barely has time to react as blue bolts streak toward him. His instincts take over. He ignites his lightsaber, deflecting the shots as his clones, open fire on him without hesitation.
Execute Order 66.
Anakin's stomach drops. Palpatine set him up. With a furious shout, he deflects a barrage of bolts, closing the distance in an instant. He slashes through the first wave of troopers' weapons, knocking them aside and then throwing them back with the Force.
Rex, stand down.
But Rex does not hesitate. He fires again, forcing Anakin to leap away. As he leaps over the attack, a dark presence fills the room. Suddenly, lightning crackles from the room and throws Anakin back. He stumbles to the ground, his body sparking as Padme screams. The Jedi Temple trembles as Emperor Palpatine steps into the chamber. The clones immediately halt, standing at attention.
My boy, you disappoint me.
You ordered them to kill me.
Did you truly believe I would let your weakness fester? Did you think I wouldn't see what she has done to you? You were to be my greatest apprentice, Darth Vader, but instead you choose this.
You lied to me.
Of course I did.
Lightning erupts from his fingertips again, but Anakin manages to block it this time. He staggers back from the attack, but Palpatine takes this chance to spring forward, laughing as he sweeps his lightsaber at him. Yet he bites empty air as Anakin slips from the attack and parries the follow-up swing. His eyes flicker dangerously as he snarls, unleashing another furious counterattack. He rushes forward, raining blows upon the Chancellor, who laughs and meets these strikes. He watches Anakin's anger only increase from these attacks. He unleashes a powerful slash that Palpatine rolls under and laughs and sweeps his legs from underneath him. He prepares to bring his lightsaber down when Padme snatches up a blaster from a clone and fires upon him. He pauses to block these strikes, but the clones quickly grab her and force her to drop the weapon.
Take her away and kill her.
Anakin watches as the clones pull her away as she kicks and screams. The sight of his beloved like this awakens something inside Anakin, who snarls out and roars, throwing them back with the Force, and then standing up once again. Lightning crackles to life once more as Palpatine tries to strike him down, but Anakin catches the attack and then rushes forward as the screams reverberate through his mind and he rushes at him.
I won't let you touch her.
Then you will die with her.
The two lock lightsabers and smash their blades against each other. Though Palpatine holds him at bay, nothing is stopping the rest of the Jedi from arriving. A team of them rush in from the hallway as they've sensed the chaos from this clash. Their blades ignite in unison. Palpatine barely has time to react before a dozen Jedi rush him from behind. Yoda, Windu, Plo Koon, Shaak Ti, all of them strike as one. Palpatine whirls around, but it is too late. Mace Windu's violet blade cuts across his chest. Yoda leaps, plunging his saber deep into Palpatine's side. Palpatine shrieks, an inhuman wail of agony as blue energy erupts from his body. The dark power he had hoarded for decades lashes out wildly, shattering pillars, cracking the temple's foundation. His mouth opens, but no words come out. Then, he collapses. Anakin looks up, chest heaving, his body scorched from the lightning. His gaze locks on to the still form of Palpatine. The Emperor is dead. His hands tremble. He looks at the fallen Sith Lord, then at the Jedi surrounding him.
Now, it is time for you to explain yourself, Skywalker.
Anakin bows his head low, knowing that justice has finally caught up with him. As the clones are defeated and driven back, the Jedi gather around him, and he explains everything. He explains how he told Padme about his mission, and how Palpatine manipulated him into serving him. The Jedi watch this with growing displeasure, but the testimony is just what they need to win the support of the Senate. Anakin is a hero beyond reproach, and his word carries weight and proves the Jedi were the victims of a coup. This allows Padme to push for a full investigation that reveals Palpatine's connections to Dooku and forces his faction out of power. When she at last gives birth, Mon Mothma takes command of the Republic. Anakin and Padme decide that they've had too much time in politics and decide to retire. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.